It's great to have you here on the Clank Howard Show, where it's all about you. I want you to learn ideas from me, how you can save more and spend less, and don't let anyone ever rip you off. Speaking of rip-offs, coming up in 20 minutes, there's a Facebook scam that has roared back. I'm going to fill you in, tell you how to protect yourself and your wallet. And later this hour, if you're going to Grandma's house for Thanksgiving, or you're going to think about going somewhere for Christmas or New Year's, I'm going to give you strategies for booking your travel that hopefully will not thin your wallet out too much. Our web address, clark.com. When you have a question, clark.com/ask. There's been something going on that has caught fire in our neighbor to the north, in Canada. Canadians have been looking at us lately, and they're like, hey, why are you people so down on yourselves? You've got a fantastic country. And so Canadians have been sending messages that tell us why we're really A-OK. And people are doing these videos telling why we are great and great things about our country. And I find this really, really interesting that we as Americans are in this negative feedback loop in our country right now that is not justified. Do we have things that we need to work on and fix? Absolutely. We need to dedicate ourselves to seeing that every American has access to real opportunity to provide a good life for himself or herself or for your family, to have access to the education and training that you need. And we need to make sure that people who try to stack the deck can't do that. But my goodness, we are a nation with so many fantastic things going on. The creativity, the ingenuity. I mean, we are a beacon to the whole world. Please don't forget that we are the greatest success as a nation in the history of humanity, in the history of nations. What we have done for ourselves and for the world is extraordinary. And people who have this rearview mirror thing that our best days are behind us, not in front of us, I know if you have faced hardship or family members have, people have struggled, and your family, your friends, and your neighborhood, it feels cloudy at best, dark at worst. But the innate advantages we have in America are still extraordinary. Think about this. If we weren't really fantastic, why would people from everywhere on earth want to be here? We have a diversity of geography, of natural resources. We have an educational system that has a lot of issues, but we educate such a large percent of our population with degrees. 1 in 3 Americans has a college degree. We have so much going for us. Please, in the rhetoric of an election, don't psych yourself out about what is so wonderful about this nation. I am the grandson of 4 immigrants to the United States. And no wonder I'm going to have a very positive viewpoint of this country, because My grandparents came here like so many other families, not knowing English, with no assets, no money, and they made a go of it and created opportunities, and this country gave opportunities that they seized and created a great life in these great United States. We are a nation with more shared interests than we give ourselves credit for right now. We're in a time that's a little raw, where people emphasize our differences instead of what we have in common. And so, take a lesson from our neighbors to the north about something other than hockey. Canadians are doing us a good service by saying, hey, stop being so down on yourselves. Because not only do we have great potential moving forward, and not only have we messed some things up of late, but we have a great history, a great track record, and a lot of wonderful things that are going to happen for us as you look forward for our nation, for our communities, for our families, and for ourselves. Michael is with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Clark, how are you, sir?
Great, thank you. What's going on with you?
Well, I've been listening to you for over 20 years, so I want to thank you for your mission and all that you do for everybody.
Well, you're kind to say that. I hope I haven't messed you up.
In an area where it's growing quite rapidly, and I thought I'd maybe look at getting a better rate and pulling out a little bit of cash, and it's just been a real struggle, just comparing rates and not feeling gouged. So hoping you had some pointers on that. And I've been working with a couple of credit unions, and their rates have been better, but this closing fees and origination loans or fees are still it just doesn't seem right.
Okay, so the options you have, one of the options you have, Michael, is to do a low or no closing cost loan, where if you're just beaten up by all the fees that they're throwing at you you mentioned origination points, I hate origination points, and all the closing costs, you can choose. And this would be true often with a credit union or going to a mortgage broker or banker or most anywhere to take out a loan. You can choose to bump up your interest rate a touch. And in turn for that, the lender absorbs a lot of those closing costs that have been presented to you. So instead of...
do you feel, in your experience as, home equity line of credit, is that a better route to go to kind of avoid those fees? Because I'm also looking at one of those, and the interest rate's really not that much higher than refinancing, but I get almost 90% of the loan to value.
Yeah, you don't want to do the home equity.
Attractive offer.
You don't want to do the home equity line of credit, Michael, if you plan to remain in the home for more than 3 years.
Okay, but less than 3 years, it may be a better option?
Potentially, if you're able to pretty much avoid closing costs by doing a home equity line, because the home equity line, the interest rate's going to float. And so you trade having minimal closing costs for a rate that will step up typically in quarter-point increments every time the Federal Reserve raises interest rates.
Oh, okay. I think 3 years or less is about the time frame. So we'd like to do a couple changes to the house and things like that, but I wasn't aware that the rate would change.
So here's the alternative. I would instead look at a no closing cost refinance. Remember I said you can do low or no closing cost loans?
Yes.
If you think your window of ownership is relatively short, but you'd benefit from doing a refi into a lower rate, but you may not be able to make up those closing costs, instead take a rate that's a half a point or 5/8 of a point higher, where the lender absorbs the closing costs.
Oh, okay.
And do a traditional 30-year fixed refi, if that's what you were thinking of. Is that what you're looking at as a 30-year loan?
I was even considering 15.
I love 15s. If you can handle the payment on a 15, that would be great. So you do a 15, okay. You're going to have a significantly lower rate than you have on your existing loan. And even if you take...
Thanks so much, Clark. I really appreciate all that you do.
Well, thank you so much. And even if you step up that rate, it's still going to be so valuable. Cheryl's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Clark. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. And you want to talk wills, which is usually when we're not feeling so great.
I'm having trouble hearing you, Clark.
You are?
Yes.
Huh. I wonder what's wrong, because I could tell that Michael was having trouble hearing me as well. We're going to see if there's...
Let me try this other phone.
No, I think it's us. Oh,
okay.
Do you hear me better now?
Yes.
Oh, so we got it.
We got it.
All right. We had something set wrong on our giant board.
Okay.
You know, I've been doing this for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And I don't understand anything about any of the electronics on the board. But fortunately, I have people who can do that. So you want to talk about doing a will for you? Are you single, married? What's your scoop?
Yes. It's my husband and I. We're married, and we're just, thinking that we need to start planning ahead, and we're 60s and 70s in our age, and so we would like to write a simple will or find somebody to help us without having to pay an arm and a leg.
How complicated is your situation?
We have a home. The home is in my name. We both are retired. We get our Social Security. I'm a retired teacher, so I have my retirement fund from teaching. And
so is there a pension that if your husband outlives you, that he'll receive a survivor's pension?
Yes.
And do you have that designated in the plan?
Yes, I have that with my accountant, that he's the beneficiary of that. Okay.
Not the accountant, your husband.
Oh, yes, my husband. No, not the accountant.
Yeah. So what the will, if something like that where it's already a designated beneficiary, that passes outside the will.
Okay.
Anything that does not have a designated beneficiary or with let's say, a bank account that's not set up, titled in a way that it goes to your husband, or in the event that you would, he would pass away first, the money would go to you. Anything you have titled with whoever it's with, insurance, bank, whatever, that passes outside the will. So the will deals with things that are silent, like the home that you own, so that it would go to your husband.
Right.
Now, you can try to do a will a couple of ways that are self-service. One is something called Willmaker.
Okay.
And Willmaker is a great software package that people find great success using. It costs somewhere near $50. And the other alternative people use when they don't want the expense of using a lawyer is using something called LegalZoom.
Okay.
LegalZoom.com. To see about Willmaker, go to a website called Nolo.com. Nolo.com.
Nolo.
Nolo. Nolo.com.
Okay.
But if you get involved with either the software from Nolo, the Willmaker, or LegalZoom.com, and you feel overwhelmed, confused, you're not quite sure what you're doing, then you and your husband just need to spend the money to have a lawyer prepare a simple will for you, because you don't want to guess and have a result completely different than you intend. But with these software packages, hopefully you can do exactly what you hope to accomplish and avoid a bigger expense. So I'd tried the software first, and again, any point of confusion, you stop, and that's when you go see a lawyer. Facebook is so huge, and because of its success, crooks have been targeting Facebook as a way to get in your wallet. It's the source of today's Clark-rageous moment.
Rip-offs. Outrages. It's a Clark-rageous moment.
There's a version of a scam that I talked about, gosh, it feels like 2 years ago. Facebook is so much larger now, and there are several scams going on right now that use pretty much the same method of operation. There is a notice to you of a change in privacy on Facebook that looks like a legal notice that says all your Facebook posts, even if they're private, are going to be made public. And the typical one will say, all your posts can become public tomorrow, even deleted messages or photos. And it goes on to talk about why this is changing, gives a legal statute and all that, and that if you don't want your information shared, you guessed it, you're going to be charged a fee to keep your stuff private. Facebook wants you to know loud and clear, this is false. Anyone who uses Facebook owns and controls the content and information they post as stated in our terms. You control how that content and information is shared. And so know that if you get this notice posted on your Facebook, that it is just a crook trying to get in your wallet. And do not click on anything that they have there. Just move on from it.
A great business needs a stunning website. And with Wix.com, you can do it all by yourself. Wix.com makes it easy to look amazing online, no matter what type of business you're in. Show off your images in a beautiful gallery. Grow your contact list and get all your social media in one place, just the way you want. Your customers are going to love it. So, what are you waiting for? Show the world what you can do. Go to Wix.com and create your stunning website today. It's easy and free.
Season 2 of some inspiring podcasts from Forbes is now on Podcast One. First, if you worry that you're not the type who could succeed in starting and running a business because you're not an extrovert, hiding in the bathroom with Maura Aarons-Mealy will change your mind and maybe your life. Then, Forbes contributor, author, and entrepreneur Denise Ristori invites you into her New York City apartment to tap into her conversations with successful women who are sharing some mentoring moments. And finally, hosts Christina Wallace and Kate Scott Campbell will blow the doors off traditional one-career thinking and prove to you that the limit does not exist. Get inspired and download all 3 shows now on the Podcast One app, iTunes, or at podcastone.com.
Glad you're with us on the Clank Howard Show, where it's about you learning ways to keep more of what you make. We serve you at Clark.com. When you have a question, Clark.com/ask. Don't forget Clark Deals. That's right, ClarkDeals.com and the daily Clark Deals newsletter brings you up to date, up to speed on deals as they happen that can save you money in every possible way. And I want to talk about something that becomes an ever-present question on our show and on Clark.com through the fall. How do I go about getting the best deal on the impossible-to-find deals for Thanksgiving travel, especially by air, if I'm traveling over Christmas, New Year's? And I want to tell you how this all plays. So for Thanksgiving, typically the 4 busiest and most expensive travel days of the year are the Tuesday and Wednesday before Thanksgiving and the Sunday and Monday after Thanksgiving. And airlines know that on those days, they're going to be able to make massive money. It's been said historically that for Thanksgiving travel, in particular, you want to buy forever ahead. But that's not necessarily the best advice, because with Thanksgiving travel, airlines initially, for people that are ultra planners, make only ultra high fares available to you. Because again, there are those 4 days. We're in a window now, though, that for Thanksgiving travel, be careful pushing your luck, particularly if your travel to or fro needs to be on one of those 4 days. Again, the Tuesday and Wednesday before Thanksgiving, Sunday and Monday after. And you want to use a multi-airline search in order to look for prices. My favorite is google.com/flights. It's lightning fast. They now have an alert system that if you see a fare there and you're thinking, gosh, that seems a little too expensive or way too expensive, they'll alert you when that fare is subject to change. So you can make a decision maybe to go ahead and buy what seemed too expensive and get that before maybe you've outsmarted yourself and the fares go up. Now, the thing that's not on the google.com/flights is the nation's largest domestic airline, Southwest. They're not in anybody's database. You have to go direct to southwest.com to see their fares. The Google Flights will not help you. But the advantage of booking Thanksgiving travel on Southwest is there's no penalty for changes on your ticket. So if you buy a ticket and a lower fare comes along, it might be even a different flight the same day has a lower fare, you can switch free of any fee. On other airlines, typically you pay $200 to change your ticket, even if it's just because the fare went down. So you lose that flexibility. Or the worst part is you buy a ticket on one airline, then there's a cheaper fare on another airline, and you're married to that first airline that had the massive fare change fee, and their tickets are non-refundable. In Southwest, if you bought a ticket for Thanksgiving and then a cheaper fare comes along on somebody else, you have a year free of any penalty to use that Southwest money. So they're kind of the bird in the hand when you're looking at holiday travel. For Thanksgiving, as in all prior Thanksgivings, if you can really mess up your travel days and fly somewhere on Thanksgiving Day and come back maybe on that Saturday night, the airlines have the opposite problem. It's the famine problem. Instead of the feast they have on the peak days, you can get a fare potentially lower than you'd pay outside of a holiday period going those days. For Christmas, New Year's, pull up a fare calendar for where you want to go. The Christmas, New Year's travel period spreads over such a long period of time that there are many days that are a deal through the Christmas, New Year's period. And we are at the window that it's a great idea for you to be looking at those tickets. This year, the Christmas, New Year's travel period starts on December 16th and ends on January 3. So you have such a long window for Christmas, New Year's travel that if you will look at the fares day by day and flex just a little bit, you will possibly save a great amount of money. Now, I want to tell you something about a possible thing to do during Christmas, New Year's. If you're not somebody looking to go to a Fun in the Sun, you're not going to see family, the Christmas, New Year's travel period is the best bargain time of year to go to big cities around the country and around the world, because travel is extra soft to particularly business and convention markets. And so you get very good fares. And then on top of it, the accommodations in many cases are at near their lowest prices of the year when you go to a place that is unloved as a destination during a holiday period. And I want to mention again, the Google search engine that is the most robust airfare search engine that exists today, google.com/flights. Sandy's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Sandy.
Hey, how are you?
Great, thank you, Sandy. You want to talk to me about an old, uninvited guest in your life.
Yes.
Tell me, you got to kick this guest out of your life. What's the scoop?
Well, I don't know how to handle this. I'm actually trying to increase my credit score because I wanted to redo my mortgage. And I have this one little ugly thing on there. It's a collection that was charged off. I know the last report date was in June and 15th. So my question would be, and then I got a letter not too long ago to settle for a lower amount. I don't know whether to settle. I don't know whether to pay the full amount, or do I just leave it alone?
Okay, and the kind of debt this was originally was credit card?
Yes.
And do you have a feel for when originally you fell behind on the credit card?
It had to be about 4 or 5 years ago.
All right. The reason I was asking that is that debt stays with you for 7 years on your report.
Right.
The reason you received an offer to settle for a smaller amount of money is generally when a collection agency offers that unilaterally to you, it means that you have moved outside what's known as statute of limitations, meaning that the debt cannot be sued against.
Okay.
So paying the debt at this point is an issue of them trying to persuade you, you wanting just to settle up, or in your case, that you have a specific interest that you want to be able to refinance.
Right.
Have you been told by the mortgage lender that you cannot refinance and that your score will rise enough if you were to pay this off?
No. I have not even approached anybody yet because I was sort of nervous that my credit was too low. So I was trying to do...
Are you tracking your credit score number actively?
Yes.
And where are you right now? Is this the only collection on your report?
Yes. I'm at 630 with the Equifax and 617 with the TransUnion. And I've never been late on mortgage. This is the only... I might have a couple of late payments on like a car and stuff like that, but it's not many. But this is the only thing that's really, really negative on my report.
Do you have a lender that you trust, a mortgage broker you trust, or are you a member of a credit union?
Yeah, both of those.
All right. So I would talk to the mortgage broker, talk to your credit union, tell them your interest in refinancing, and get guidance from them if you're going to really see a benefit. And then what you do, the offer you have, if it turns out it would be to your advantage to negotiate a payoff of this debt, the offer you have is their opening offer. And so you negotiate from that being the peak that you're going to pay, and you in turn make an offer, but you only pay when you have in writing that the payment of that amount of money will constitute payment in full.
Okay. Do I request that they take it off of the report? I've read so many different things.
Okay. So it is true that you may be able to get it removed from the report. The credit bureaus say it shouldn't happen, but it does all the time. So you can negotiate as part of the deal that they remove the item from your report in return for you paying, because all the collection agency wants is money. So
and this is not a collection aid. It's actually the credit card themselves that's negotiating.
Really?
Yes.
That's unusual for it to be so many years since your late pay and charge off. Yes, so the credit card company could easily agree to remove it from your report. And yes, that's great leverage for you.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't a collection agent. It was actually the credit card itself.
I do not recall having a call like yours with a charged off debt that it was the actual bank itself contacting you.
Yeah. Unless it's somebody trying to scam me with that part, but it's from the lender, so
no, so that would be the real deal. All right. So you got the order, right? Talk to the lenders that you might want to borrow from first, and then you proceed on a path based on the guidance they give you.
Okay.
And I will tell you those, if you have a couple of late payments on the car loan, those do hurt you.
Yeah, I know.
And those will not be repaired by you dealing with this collection. Because it's crazy about credit reports. Even a single late payment on any debt you have is something that has a significant effect on your credit score. But best to you, Sandy, I hope you're able to get the refi done while we've got these great rates. Chad is with us on the Clank Howard Show. Chad, I have been waiting for your call. Do you know that?
I didn't know that. How are you doing?
Great, thank you. I knew your call was coming.
Okay. So I've been trying to follow your steps on how to buy a new car, and I was about to go through the whole process, and then Hurricane Matthew came through. And now I'm worried about the cars that I'm looking at having flood damage.
You are a very smart man. So
Thank you.
Are you aware, because it would have been a news story if a particular car dealer had its lot flooded?
I would hope so, but
have you looked on whatever search engine you like and put in the car dealership name and put next to it flood?
No, I haven't. But I know that they switch cars around so often. I was kind of curious to how I would be able to track it down.
So with a new car, because I always talk about this with used cars, and this is a consumer warning that I have put out in the aftermath of the hurricane, that with any used car anybody's buying in the eastern half of the country over the next 6 months, you got to run a flood report on it, and those are available for free if you do flood.carmax.com. Carfax.com, I'm sorry. Got CarMax and Carfax mixed up. Flood.carfax.com. For a new car, I'm not aware of there being a database where you'd be able to see if a new car had been flooded out. But it would be a highly unlikely event that a car dealer would not disclose and attempt to sell a flooded new car, because they specifically have insurance coverage for that, because a car dealer has what's known as a floor plan, which I'm going to give you a little more information than I probably should get into here, Chad. But what flooring a car means is that all the new cars on a dealer lot are on a finance arrangement with, could be the auto manufacturer's lending arm or could be a third-party lending arm. And they have to have, for the floor plan, which is all the new cars, they have to have thorough insurance required by the floor plan lender. So the dealer is not going to be uninsured for flood cars and is not going to have an incentive to sell you a new vehicle that has been a flood car.
Okay, well, that's good to hear.
And if there was an issue with a car that was misbehaving right from the get-go, that's when you would want to take it to a mechanic independently and have it checked out to see if there are any telltale signs that the vehicle's been through a flood. And, of course, you'd have lemon law rights.
Okay.
So the thing about a new car, I wouldn't fret, but used cars, be on your guard. Hi, Ruth. I'm glad to have you here on the Clank Howard Show. How are things going, Ruth?
Oh, pretty good. I'm just getting over major back surgery, but I had to call you because you are the man to call.
Well, I am so sorry about your back surgery. Where'd you get cut?
The lower 4 and 5.
That's exactly where I had my back surgery. So let me tell you this. I had my back surgery 14 years ago, and it has been great. I went from being in extreme pain to the point where I couldn't walk, work, or sleep, to now I exercise as much or more than I ever did.
I couldn't even walk hardly without being bent half over.
Well, I hope that you have the same success following your surgery as I did.
Do you have titanium rods?
I do not, because titanium rods were too expensive. I went for ones that had lead in them. No, just kidding.
Oh, okay.
I don't have rods. I just had to have my discs cleaned up. One had kind of exploded.
I have 2 titanium rods and screws.
Oh, well, again, I hope that you do great with that.
I'm trying, sweetheart, but I have a big question for you.
Yes.
Saturday, a friend of mine down in Florida texted me to call this number, and it was a Facebook number, that she had won $80,000 and that she had to send them $800 to pay the taxes and
please tell me she didn't send the $800.
Huh?
Did she send the $800?
She sent $500, I think. Now listen.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I did. I called, or I texted to see if my name was on the list because she said she saw my name. So I did, and they texted me back that yes, and I had won $120,000, and that I was to send $1,000 to cover the FedEx, the insurance. There was like 5 different things to cover for $1,000.
Did you send
so
it?
I texted them. No,
I was waiting for the punchline that you sent, and I'm sorry your friend sent money. This is an absolute, complete, and total scam, Ruth. Don't have any more contact with them. They probably got your contact information by breaking into your friend's email, possibly. This is totally bogus. It is totally a rotten scam.
You know, when you're going to buy a car, pricing information is great and necessary. But there's more to doing it than just the price. There's the actual buying experience. If you want to enjoy a better one, you should go to a True Car certified dealer. They're there to help you find the car that you want, and they're also what make True Car unique. With True Car, you can connect with a local certified dealer that you choose, so you can lock in a guaranteed savings off the MSRP and enjoy a totally better buying experience. And by better, they also mean faster. Over 2 million cars have already been sold to True Car users who have visited their True Car certified dealer. And there are over 11,000 True Car certified dealers nationwide, so it's probably pretty easy to find one near you. And check this, for a new car, average True Car users save $3,279 off MSRP. All right, so you're probably wondering, how do I do this? It's easy. Just go to TrueCar.com or, right there on your phone, download the True Car app. You can find the car you want, see the True Car pricing curve, which shows you what other people in your area paid for the same car, and that way you can know you're getting a good price and feel confident. Then you'll get a guaranteed savings certificate from the True Car certified dealer. Go to the dealer, and your guaranteed savings off MSRP will be honored, and you enjoy a quick, easy experience. How's that for car buying? So when you're ready to buy a new car, or even a used one, visit TrueCar.com or download the TrueCar app and enjoy the better car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states.
Glad you're with us on the Clank Howard Show, where it's about your empowerment with knowledge to help you make smart decisions with your wallet. My goal to help you keep more of what you make. Speaking of making more, well, there's a lot of job opportunity news that you need to be aware of. I'm going to share with you in just 30 minutes. Our web address, clark.com. When you have a question for me, clark.com/ask. I've talked extensively about the problems with the marketplace for Obamacare that individuals buy coverage on. And the problems are significant because there's something that economists call adverse selection, that people who have tended to buy policies have been people who've had a strong need for health care, and then other people have said, hey, I'm not going to pay those premiums because I don't get anything for them anyway till I spend huge money with big deductibles and all the rest. And so for people who look at open enrollment starting in a couple of weeks for Obamacare plans on the individual market for next year, there's a significant change for shopping for next year plans. And it's called Simple Choice, where there will be a set of benefits that you'll be able to choose from, and all Simple Choice plans will have identical benefits. So if you buy a Simple Choice plan that's silver, Simple Choice plan that's gold, whatever, that it will have, all silver plans will have identical benefits if they're Simple Choice. All gold plans will have identical benefits, because right now, even though a plan may be in the color band, which is bronze, silver, gold, or platinum, well, within those bands, there are enormous differences in how the plans work other than the deductibles and how coverage is paid past the deductibles. So by standardizing things under Simple Choice, it makes it much easier for you shopping for a plan to compare who's got the cheapest deal, because within a color band, all simple choice plans will cover the same exact stuff. So then the question would become, are your doctors or facilities you like to use or hospitals included on the plan from a provider? But the other change is this thing that has made it so it's unattractive to join a plan for somebody who says, I'm healthy. Why would I pay all these premiums? And then I don't get any real coverage till I've spent a ton of money, which means I have to be sick to get the benefits after the deductibles. So now it's working more like you may recall from a lot of employer-provided plans. You'll pay a visit charge to go see a doctor, $30, hire one for a specialist. A prescription for about 80% of meds will be $15. So there's a simplification. The simplification doesn't do anything about the premium increases that the insurance companies are pushing through. And the marketplace says, and simple math says, that the premium increases are here because people that are healthy have been choosing not to buy coverage in large numbers. And that is a true dollars and cents issue. On the dollars and cents thing, though, on the individual exchange, most people aren't paying the actual premiums that you hear bandied about because they're at an income level where they get a subsidy of those premiums, in which case the simple choice becomes a very important consideration because then you know, oh, I'm going to go to the doctor, it's going to be $30. You know what the numbers are going to be for the various services you might purchase for healthcare, what you'll actually have to pay out of pocket using healthcare. Melissa's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Clark. How are you?
Great. Thank you, Melissa.
I absolutely adore your show. I listen to the podcast all the time, and because of you, I just bought a Tesla Model X, which I'm also totally in love with. But
you bought the S or the X?
The X, the SUV.
Wow.
Yeah, love it.
That's in pretty rarefied air buying the X.
It's amazing. Best purchase of my life, I think. It's amazing. Great car.
And when you pull up somewhere and you open those doors, adults become like children that are giddy, aren't they?
My kids are so embarrassed, and I just took them to school the first time, and other kids were standing around. They said, whoa, and my kids got out with their hoodies over their head and ran inside quickly. So it's pretty funny.
So your kids were embarrassed by all the attention that the car brings.
Yep, they're not happy about that. But
So it's the fastest SUV by far ever built.
Yeah,
and has the highest equivalent fuel economy of any SUV ever built.
I love it. Fantastic car. Love it.
Well, good.
Yeah.
You'll have to drive it 1,000 years to make up that cost, though.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, not cost saving that way. My question for you today is that because of you, when I travel, I always take a video of my rental car when I get back to the rental car place. And those videos take up a fair amount of room on my phone, which is running out of room. So my question is, how long do I have to keep that video to kind of prove if they make a claim against me that's faulty? How long should I keep that video?
Well, let's deal with the first thing first, and that's running out of capacity on your phone.
Uh-huh.
Are you familiar with, do you use an iPhone or Android, first of all?
iPhone.
All right. So the best friend any iPhone user has ever had for the capacity issues on an iPhone is Google Photos.
Okay.
And what Google Photos allows you to do is you have unlimited free storage forever of every photo and every video you take on an iPhone.
Oh, okay.
So as soon as you've dumped it into Google Photos, which you should be able to set up as an automatic dump, you just download the app for Google Photos onto your iPhone, and you can move your stuff over there, and then it's portable. You know, your phone gets lost, stolen, whatever. You don't even have to worry about having capacity in that overpriced iCloud that Apple rips people off on. You just have it all on Google Photos.
Oh, okay.
And so that way you're not going to, for anything you have, pictures, videos, whatever, you can take unlimited videos and know you're never going to run out of capacity because they'll store in Google Photos.
Okay. Does that have a monthly service fee? Or
no fee at all, completely free.
Perfect. Okay.
And it
Great.
catalogs your stuff, and it's just great. Now, a lot of people also love Flickr as a way to save stuff from iPhones.
Okay.
But I figure Google Photo unlimited capacity, you should look at that. Now, on keeping the video, if you start using Google Photos, it's not going to matter. But as a practical matter, people tend to get a letter within 60 days.
Okay.
The fact that the car rental companies take their time and sometimes send somebody a letter 60 days later is crazy.
Yeah.
But taking the video when you return a rental car is past brilliant.
Great. Okay.
And you enjoy that X.
Thank you so much.
Now, you know, I drive an S.
Uh-huh.
So if I'm ever next to you at a red light, it's drag strip time.
Well, fantastic.
Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Debbie's with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Great, thank you. Debbie, you have to wear like a mask when you pull out something that says Wells Fargo on it?
Well, I don't like supporting companies that I think are not serving their community. And yes, I have a Wells Fargo card. I've had it for 17 years, and I don't really want to use it anymore.
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, you know, leave the account open. There's no annual fee on the Wells Fargo Visa, right?
Right.
So just leave the account open because you don't want to hurt your own credit score standing by closing the account.
Yeah.
But if Wells Fargo has betrayed your trust and you want nothing to do with them, don't use the card anymore. And if you need to, use this as a time to shop because there's so many great credit cards available right now. The industry has never been as hyper competitive as it is right while we're speaking.
Right. Yeah.
So you could get something else. You know, I there's something I've not shared on the air that I wanted to mention. I had a former Wells Fargo branch manager come up to me and it was like cathartic for him to start talking about what a horrible, horrible culture it was at Wells Fargo and how much he hated doing what he said they were trained to cheat people and that they had to push their employees to cheat people. And it was just, and he started tearing up. And it's just an awful thing about the culture. And that now deposed CEO who took no responsibility for it and blamed it on the lowest level employees in the bank is outrageous. And nobody in a real position of power at Wells Fargo has suffered in any meaningful way. There's been nobody indicted. And the reality is the problem at these banks, the giant monster mega banks, is it's crime without punishment. They are committing criminal acts and nothing happens to them. So I think you do take a stand. And if you were embarrassed at the Stagecoach, and, you know, the whole idea when stagecoaches used to ride around the West was they had to have somebody riding shotgun. That's where the expression came from to deal with the robbers. Well, it turned out who the real robbers were the people who used the Stagecoach as their logo, Wells Fargo.
Well, thank you very much. That is a really good idea to leave the account open. That was one of my biggest concerns was closing that account that I've had for so long. So that's a great idea. Yeah,
don't harm your credit. Now, do you have other credit cards that get you either if you're a full balance?
I have two. I have the American Express and Wells Fargo. That's all I have.
I'd get one more.
Oh.
You want to have two cards that are what I call active and available in your mix, which means how they play out on your credit score and credit report. So use this as an opportunity to apply for another card. And there's a website I'd like for you to go to shop for a credit card because they use a really great system of taking you through figuring out the best card for you or cards. It's called creditcardtuneup.com.
Okay.
And it'll show you where you put in your typical monthly charge pattern. and then it'll give you what card or cards would be the best for you to carry. And it's designed for people who pay their balance in full each month.
Okay, great.
So
Thank you
check
very
it
much.
out. And are you still doing your banking with Wells Fargo, your checking account and stuff like that?
No. I had that account when my son was in college, and he's 34. So I don't use anything except I still have the Visa card from years ago. So.
Well, now it will be a relic that will never be used again.
Nope, it won't be.
And I want to say this to the employees of Wells Fargo. This is not your fault. You're not a bad person. If you made decisions that you did under duress because you were trying to keep food on your table, I know it feels awful that you engaged in criminal, illegal practices. But the problem is not you. The problem is the culture at Wells Fargo and the leadership at Wells Fargo. And no one has been brought to account. What does that say to other executives at other giant monster mega banks? You can get away with anything and nobody makes the perp walk. Nobody goes to prison. Nobody really suffers. Do you think that CEO who got shown the door and had to give up $41 million, that $41 million meant anything? This guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, apparently. It's a slap on the wrist. When we were in San Francisco, I took my kids to see Alcatraz. And you see what happens when someone's punished and their freedom's taken away, and that's real hardship. It's time in America that people that behave badly in business suffer the consequences they deserve. Hi, Lisa. It's great to have you here on the Clank Howard Show. Lisa, what's going on with your credit?
Hey, so I have a question. I'm rebuilding my credit, and I've been doing well for some time now, and I have this old card that I've had for about 10 years, but I don't pay anything on it. It's completely paid off, and every summer I get the annual fee, and I pay the annual fee because I just want to keep that history on there. But honestly, I'm tired of paying the annual fee for a card I no longer use, and I just wanted to see if you thought it would be a good idea to shut that card down or if that would negatively impact my credit.
No, as long as you, over these 10 years, you've gotten other cards, you're in great shape with those, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can dump that one with an annual fee. There's no reason for you to pay that whatsoever. Now, I will tell you something funny that may happen, though. When you call to close that account, they may offer you that card going forward with no annual fee or an alternative card with no annual fee.
Okay.
But
I do have two other accounts with them with better, interest rates and things like that. So
then just dump this one.
Okay.
Just get rid of it. But I'm concerned about something. You said, so you have 3 different accounts with this one issuer?
Yeah.
Do you have any credit with any other issuer?
Yes, I do.
Good. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't doing everything you do with one lender, because if they ever decided they didn't like you and got rid of you all at once, then you'd be wiped out with no access to credit. So as long as you have credit from more than one place, then, yeah, definitely dump them, and there will be no significant, meaningful consequences to your credit at all, as long as you're not using a big chunk of your available credit on the other cards.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So that money you save, you can save it and put it towards something. Somebody I was just talking to who came up with a way to save some money, then turned around and spent it. I said, no, that's zero-summing the money.
Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans proudly supports this podcast. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage approval process into the 21st century. It's fast, powerful, and completely online. You see, Rocket Mortgage has taken all the complicated, time-consuming parts of applying for a mortgage out of the equation. Hate searching through stacks of old files and paperwork? Well, with Rocket Mortgage, you can easily share your bank statements and pay stubs at the touch of a button. It helps you get approved in minutes for a custom mortgage solution that's been tailored to your unique financial situation. Even better, with Rocket Mortgage, you can do all of this on your phone or tablet. It's a quick online process that you can manage from the convenience of your couch. So if you're looking to refinance your mortgage or buy a home, check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/save. That's quickenloans.com/SAVE. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. Stay tuned for 60 seconds of AP News headlines right after this podcast.
Here on the Clank Howard Show, my goal is to give you knowledge, to give you power so you can pack a punch in your wallet. I want you to learn ideas from me. You can save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off. On the web, we serve you at clark.com. You have a question? Well, you can go to clark.com/ask. You also can call in for free off-the-air advice. We make that available to you 9 hours a day, Monday to Friday. You can talk with a member of Team Clark completely free. Go to clark.com, slide down the front page. You'll see how to call in, what the number is, the hours available for you to get the free off-the-air advice. The job picture has improved so much that a lot of us still have trauma from what's happened over the last 9 years. But the job picture, in many ways, is so much better, where employers are looking anywhere they can to get workers. And people who've been underemployed now have a great opportunity to find something where you're not underemployed anymore. There are a large number of people that have multiple jobs right now. There are so many vacancies that people, either because they need more money, they're not making ends meet at their primary employment, they're picking up another shift, several extra hours work per week. I can't even tell you how often someone will say to me when I'm out and about at a restaurant or retail store, well, my regular job is this, that, or the other, but I'm picking up 2 shifts a week here. Number of people doing that right now in America, 8 million, are working a second job at least. There are occasionally people who work 3 jobs. A lot of Uber and Lyft drivers are doing that, picking up extra money outside of what they do at a normal job. The good news is there are jobs. The bad news, if you're having to work a second job because you're not making enough, take advantage of what the marketplace is giving right now. With the increase in availability of jobs, don't settle in a job where you are underappreciated or you have too many skills for what you're now doing and it bores you. This is a time for you to go look for opportunity that may be out there. And not every community, not every metro area in the country is dealing with too many jobs going unfilled. But it is a clear trend across the country that there's more opportunity for you in going to look for jobs. You know, one of the interesting things going on with the job stats each month now is the number of businesses, the number of jobs being added by businesses keeps going nicely. It's add, not subtract. But the number is smaller than it would be each month because flat out there are so many employers who cannot find applicants for the jobs they have available. Not all of them pay well, and that's a fact. But there are enough that do pay well that if you feel your check is smaller than it should be based on your experience and skill, use this as an opportunity to go see if you can find a better opportunity. And Jennifer, I love your question. I love your question. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thanks. How are you, Clark?
Great. So if I have your question right, because I got just a few words on the screen here, am I making all this stuff up about these no-cost refis?
Yes, something like that.
So you've been looking, and it seems they're nowhere to be found?
Well, no, I have, looked into doing refinance, and the first place I went was Clank Howard to look and see what you suggested. And I read about the no finance loans, but you had mentioned that we may have to take a higher APR rate or interest rate. So I was just a little confused about why that may be.
Okay, so here's what happens. When you originate a mortgage, there are actual real expenses that the lender has for making the loan happen. And so those are the closing costs that are thrown your way. There's also junk fees known as points. And each point you pay is 1% of the amount of money you're borrowing. And it's just a made-up junk fee. So lenders charge you these things, and then in turn you get the rate. And so the rate being whatever it is based on your credit score and how much you shop. So the other thing you can do is you can take typically a 0.5 point higher rate to 5/8 of a point higher rate, depending on how competitive it is in the market you're looking and how much money you're borrowing. And in turn, the lender absorbs those costs that you'd pay at the closing table. So that's why a no closing cost loan has a higher interest rate, because what the lender does is they make up the fact that they're eating those costs up front by charging you the higher rate on the loan itself.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the lender, you know how many loans have you taken out over the years?
Not very many, maybe 3.
Okay, and of those 3, have you ever noticed that right after you close, somebody else ends up being who you send your payments to? Has that happened to you?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say I'm a mortgage broker, and I do this loan for you, and I absorb those closing costs, and then in turn I charge you the higher interest rate. And then I immediately turn around and I sell that loan to somebody. They're going to pay me more money for that loan because it comes with that higher interest rate. And that's how I make up those closing costs that I paid instead of you paying.
Okay. Well, that helps. I was just curious about, why it would, be a higher interest rate. So that does make sense. Thank you.
Sure. And when you shop, I like for you to look at costs for a loan when you're either taking out a mortgage, but especially when you're refinancing, where you take a simple sheet of paper and you put things in 3 blocks. One, what the interest rate is. Second, what closing costs they're going to charge you, which they now have to give you a full disclosure on. And then the third thing, if you're paying any points. And that way you can compare what one lender's offer is to another, or even if a lender says, well, I got 3 different loan products I can offer you. I can offer you this, this, or this, and you can compare them out. And I have a math formula I like for you to look at when you're doing the refi, Jennifer, and you probably read this on Clark.com, that if you can make up the higher closing costs on one loan versus another, if you can make it up in 30 months, then you're better off taking a lower rate and paying the higher closing costs, as an example.
Okay. Yes, I did say that.
And do all your shopping in a very short window, because if you shop with multiple lenders all in a few weeks, it's treated as if you were inquiring about a single mortgage. If you spread it out over a longer period of time, it looks like you were maybe applying for loans on multiple properties.
Okay.
And that would affect your credit. So the big thing is to shop, which most people don't do. They contact one lender, and that's all they do. The more the merrier in this case. Ron is with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hi, Ron.
Hi, how are you doing?
Great, thank you, Ron. You have an awesome question. What is it?
Well, it's not really a question. I enrolled, by the way, I work for a large rental car company, and I listen to you driving from branch to branch and delivering cars to dealers, so it's just great to hear you. I love your program.
Well, thank you so much.
I enrolled in Medicare. My Medicare number is my Social Security number.
Is that just loco?
I don't know.
It's crazy.
In Portland.
Yeah, but see, that's crazy that your Social Security number is your Medicare record number, and the law has been changed, and you will receive a new card with a medical record number at some point in, I don't know if it's going to be 2017 they'll get it done or when it will be completed, but you will have a replacement number coming to replace that Social Security number being used for Medicare.
I didn't know if that was the case with everyone in every state, but I assume so.
Yeah, that's a nationwide thing that the federal government required private health insurers, gosh, it may have been 10 or more years ago, to stop using Social Security numbers as people's medical record number. But they didn't require, the Congress didn't require the same change for Medicare. And finally, they got around to it, and the change was legislated in the last couple of years, I guess. And so the Medicare people say it's going to take them a while to phase it in, but they're going to get rid of all those socials being on the cards.
Interesting. I was just in to visit a brand new physician this morning, and I gave him all my insurance cards, and then on the form I did not put my Social Security number down.
But they have it anyway on your Medicare card.
Yeah.
But you did the right thing by leaving the Social Security number section of the paperwork blank, because just so many problems happen from those Social Security numbers being listed on paperwork. And so the Social Security Administration, Medicare says it's going to take a total of 4 years till they've transitioned everybody to a new card that does not have your Social Security number on it. But as far as any medical paperwork in any doctor's office, hospital, whatever, always leave the Social Security question blank. Will is with us on the Clank Howard Show. Hi, Will.
Hi, Clark. How are you today?
Great, thank you, Will. How can I serve you?
Well, I want to thank you, first of all, for providing such an educational service. I've been a long-time listener, and I really appreciate everything you've done for me.
Well, thank you. It's great to have you here.
That's great. And so I'm just want to explain my situation. I'm a little over 40 years old. I'm married, and I have a 3-year-old son, but I don't have a will yet. And so what I'm looking to understand is what's the best way to get a will, and that's basically online versus hiring an attorney. And I understand there are a number of online options like Nolo, LegalZoom, but I haven't seen any kind of an unbiased comparison of the choices. And I live in New York State, and I was wondering how you could compare, those options.
Well, when you get to the point that you want a lawyer to do a will is when you either have a complicated family situation, and a great example of that would be somebody in a second marriage, maybe there's his kids, her kids, their kids, that kind of thing. You never use a program like WillMaker or a service like LegalZoom. You always go to a lawyer to do a will. If you have a lot of money, you always want to go to a lawyer. If you have in your case you don't, but if you were somebody who had adult children and you were worried about exactly how they'd get along at the time of your death and that they might argue or fight or whatever, you hire a lawyer. But in your situation, you don't have anything complicated, do you?
Well, I mean, I guess on the money front, the only question becomes, what would you consider complicated?
If you have investments, maybe rental properties, you have more than one home, you have a lot of money in stocks. When you start having, I call it's one of the kind of things that has a success tax. The more things you have going on in your life and the more assets you have, that's when you don't even think about preparing a will yourself. You positively, absolutely go to a lawyer. And New York is a pretty complicated probate system, which lends it toward going to a lawyer with any complexity. James joins us on the Clark Howard Show. Hello, James. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, James. You want to talk about USAA.
That is correct.
Thank you for your service to our country. What branch of the military are you in or were in?
Marines.
Oh, so you're a tough guy.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not tough enough to be a Marine.
Oh, okay. Well, it was pretty easy for me. So 6 years there, and I enjoyed every moment of it.
So you must have been a Hollywood Marine if you say it was easy.
Well, not quite, but I worked in Hawaii for about 3.5 years, so I guess that could be considered.
Great. Well, how can I help you with USAA? And you're so smart that you joined USAA while you were serving our country in the Marines.
Well, the reason why is that USSA is charging me an annual fee on a security credit card. I was trying to reestablish my credit. I had a bankruptcy about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I went on and applied for the secure credit card. But I have other cards now that doesn't charge me anything. So my question would be, would it really hurt my credit if I go ahead and pay that account off and then close it?
That is a great question. So have you asked USAA, now that you've been able to reestablish credit, you have these other cards, which was really the benefit of having the USAA secured card, have you asked USAA if they can graduate you to one of their not secured cards?
I have not.
I would ask them that first. And if they will transition you, then that would eliminate the annual fee, and they'd refund you the money they have of yours that's on deposit. If they say, nope, we're not ready to issue a regular card, James, at that point, you just dump that USAA card and have them close that account. Because you have 2 major credit cards now?
Yes, I do.
So 2 is the key number. I always call it the Noah's Ark rule, that you want to have 2 major credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. Once you have that, there's no need for you to have the secured card anymore.
Okay.
But being with USAA is outstanding. And so if they'll transition you to a regular USAA, I think they're Visa these days, if they'll transition you to one of their regular cards, then that's what you want to grab hold of.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I will give them a call and see can they make that happen.
And again, thank you so much for your years of service to our great country.
All right. Thank you, Clark, for taking my call again.
Certainly.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Howard Podcast. Download new episodes every Monday through Friday at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com. Stay tuned for the latest AP News headlines from Podcast One, right after this. When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
Update. I'm Carlotta Bradley. President Obama has some advice for Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump.
I'd advise Mr. Trump to stop whining and go try to make his case to get votes.
He says that someone who's whining before the game is even over doesn't have what it takes to be in this job. Trump has been warning the November election will be rigged. In Grand Junction, Colorado, he told a rally Hillary Clinton's presidency would mark the end of America as we know it.
If we let the Clinton cartel run this government, history will record that 2017 was the year America lost its independence. That's true. That's true.
Hillary Clinton's campaign says Trump is warning of a rigged election to distract from the bad press about his treatment of women and discourage Democratic voters. Aide Jen Palmieri says Trump is losing and he wants to blame somebody else, and that's what losers do. AP Update. I'm Carlotta Bradley.